Students, welcome to NCERT CBSE Class 10, Subject Science and the chapter Life Processes. In this life process, we have already seen part 3. Today we are going to see about part 4. So which is completely related to another life process which is essential for all the living beings, that is known as respiration. Okay. In this class, we are going to study about respiration, students. Students, Students, in this class we are going to learn about human respiratory system. So before this class we have studied about aerobic and anaerobic respiration in details. Okay. Now we are going to learn about human respiratory system. So in humans the respiratory system includes the following organs. Okay. Respiratory system of human beings is a complex one. So the respiratory system of human beings includes the following organs. So first one is, so this is complete about complete detailed diagram about the respiratory organs or system of human beings. Okay. So it includes a pair of nostrils, pharynx, larynx. So here you can observe the labeled parts. So then trachea, this is trachea. Then bronchi, this bifurcated main trachea into, the trachea is going to be bifurcated into two main branches, so which are entering inside the lungs. Those two main branches are called as what? Bronchi. Singular it is going to be bronchus, plural in plural we are going to call it as what? Bronchi. Then bronchioles. So when each bronchus enters inside the lungs, it is going to be sub-branched or subdivided into many branches. Those branches are called as what? Bronchioles. Okay. Then a pair of lungs. Here one, and on the left side as well as right side of the our body, there are a pair of lungs are present. They are also very important organs in our respiratory system. Next, we are going to know about alveoli. So these alveoli are always present at the tip of what? Bronchioles. Every tip of bronchiole is going to be having innumerous numbers of what? Small air sacs. Those air sacs are called as what? Alveoli. So these are the parts which are going to be present in our what? Respiratory system, or the organs which are involved in the human respiratory system. A pair of nostrils, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs, alveoli, and another part is there, that is called as what? Diaphragm. Diaphragm. So all these are the parts or organs which are going to be involved in the human respiratory system. So students, now we are going to learn about one by one the organs which are involved in the human respiratory system. First we are going to know about nose and pair of nostrils. So we all are having what? Nose. So at the tip of nose there is a pair of what? Holes are there. Those holes are called as what? Nostrils. So are you observing here? So here we are having a pair of nostrils. Okay. So the nose and nasal cavity filter warm. When the air enters from nostrils inside the nose, the space which is present inside the nose is called as what? Nasal cavity. Okay. This nasal cavity is having small hairs inside the nasal cavity. What are present? Small hairs are present, and mucus secreting cells are present. Okay. Mucus secreting cells. So okay, when the air enters inside the nasal cavity, the air is going to be filtered. Okay. The nasal cavity filter warm and moisten the air you breathe. Okay. When we breathe the air first enters inside the nasal cavity. Inside the nasal cavity, it is going to be filtered by the small hairs, and it is going to be warm, because nasal cavity is having a large number of what? Blood capillaries or blood vessels. In that blood vessels, blood is going to be floating. That blood is going to be warm, on the which is having the temperature of our body. Okay. That warm blood is going to be warming the air which is going to be entering inside the nasal cavity from the atmosphere, and also it is going to be moistened. Okay. So this process is going to be taking place in the nasal cavity. The nose hairs and mucus produced by the cells in the nose catch particles in the air and keep them from entering the lungs. Okay. The nose is having hairs and mucus produced by the cells in the nose catch particles of the air. Okay. And keep them from entering inside the lungs. So the air is going to be filtered and it is going to be moistened, and also it is going to be warmed in the nasal cavity. Okay, this is about what? Nasal cavity, which is the first part of our human respiratory system. So the second part of our respiratory system is going to be pharynx. Okay, behind the nasal cavity, air passes through a pipe-like structure known as pharynx. So now we are going to. So this is the structure. It is going to be known as what? Pharynx. It is present behind the nasal cavity, and it is a passage through so behind the nasal cavity, air passes through a pipe-like structure known as what? Pharynx. It is a pipe-like or a hopper-like structure which is going to be passage for the passage of what? Air. Okay. So when the air enters from nostril cavity, it passes through this what? Pipe-like structure or tube-like structure. This tube-like structure is called as what? Pharynx. Okay. It is a long tube. It is the passage for both food and air passes through the pharynx. It is the common passage for both food and air. Okay. Remember students, the common passage for both air and wind, air and food is going to be pharynx. Okay. It is a hopper-like and tube-like structure which is present after the nasal cavity. So the next part of our respiratory system or after pharynx is larynx. Okay. So larynx it is also called as what? Voice box, is found just below the pharynx. Your voice comes from your larynx. All of our voices is going to be produced from which part of our respiratory system? It is going to be larynx. So larynx is also called as voice box of our throat, our body. So air from lungs passes across this tissue in the larynx, and the vibration of these tissues produce what sound? How sound is going to be produced in larynx? Air passes from lungs, passes across thin tissues which are present in the larynx. Those thin tissues are like papers, and after the when air passes through these tissues of thin tissues of larynx, those tissues are going to be vibrating with the wind or air. So this vibration leads to what? Production of what? Sound. Therefore air from the lungs passes across thin tissues in the larynx, and the vibration of these tissues produces what? Sound. So now I am speaking. This sound is going to be produced by what? Larynx. So we can observe the diagram of larynx also. So after this is the pharynx and this is the larynx. So ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಂದು ಕರೆಯುತ್ತೇವೆ. Okay, it is called as what? Larynx. So after larynx, we are going to know about trachea. Trachea is another important part of our respiratory system. It is also called as what? Windpipe. Okay. So this is composed of rings, C-shaped cartilage. Okay. It is composed of a rings. It is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings. So cartilaginous rings prevent the collapse of trachea in the absence of air. When there is no air is present in the trachea, the cartilaginous rings which are in the shape of C are going to be preventing the collapse of trachea in the absence of air in our throat. So now we are going to see the diagram of trachea or structure of trachea. So this is called as what? This complete windpipe is called as what? Trachea. Okay. This trachea is made up of C-shaped rings. These C-shaped rings will going to be preventing the collapse of this trachea when air is not going to be passing inside the lungs. So when there is the absence of air, it is not going to be collapsed due to the presence of what? C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Okay. So this is trachea. This trachea bifurcates into bronchi while entering inside the lungs. So this trachea, when it is going to be entering inside the lungs, it is going to be bifurcating into what? Bronchi. So these are, we are going to, how many bronchi? Bronchus are there? 2 bronchus. These bronchus, singularly we are going to call them as bronchus, but plurally we are going to call it as what? Bronchi. So this trachea bifurcates. Bifurcate means it is going to be branched into 2 parts while entering the inside the lungs. So these 2 parts together are called as what? Bronchi. Okay. So next we are going to know about bronchi. What is bronchi? So a pair of branches which enter inside the each lung from trachea are called as what? Bronchi. A pair of branches which enter inside each lung from trachea are called as what? Bronchi. So we are going to see bronchi. So these are the bronchus. Singularly we are going to call it as bronchus, but plurally we are going to call them as what? Bronchi. How many bronchus are there? Two. This one and this one. These are the two bifurcations of trachea which are going to be entering inside each lung. So a pair of branches which enter inside each lung from trachea are called as what? Bronchi. So bronchioles. Then what are bronchioles? So these are the further sub branches of what? Bronchus. Each bronchus when enters inside the lungs, they are going to be subdivided and redivided, making a large number of branches. These branches are called as what? Bronchioles. Okay. Now we are going to know about them. A bronchus divides into branches. A bronchus is going to be dividing into branches and sub branches. These are the branches and these are the sub branches inside the lung. These branches are called as what? Bronchioles. We are going to call them as what? Bronchioles. So all these sub branches and branches of what? Bronchus are called as what? Bronchioles. Okay. So this is about bronchi and bronchioles. Bronchi are the main branches of trachea and bronchioles are the sub branches of what? Bronchus. Okay. So there are large number of bronchioles are present in each lung. Next, we are going to know about lungs. So, lungs are the important organs of our respiratory system. So, organs, these are the important organs of our respiratory system. So, now we are going to know about these lungs. These are air-filled, spongy, dark chocolate colored organs present on both sides of our chest. We are having chest, on both sides of chest we are having what? Lungs. Okay. Lungs are the air-filled, spongy, they are spongy in nature. Dark chocolate colored. What is the color of lungs? They are dark chocolate colored organs present on both sides of our chest. Those are called as what? Lungs. Okay. We are having a pair of lungs. This is on the left side and this is on the right side. Okay. So these are lungs. So every lung is surrounded by a thin membrane. Each lung is covered by a thin layer of tissue known as pleura. So pleura is the layer which surrounds each lungs. Remember students, each lung is covered by a thin layer of tissue known as pleura. This pleura acts as a lubricant. Lubricant means oils. Okay. This pleura acts as a lubricant in the inhalation and exhalation process. Inhalation means taking of air inside the lungs and exhalation means expelling the carbon dioxide out from the lungs. So those are inhalation and exhalations. Okay. This pleura acts as a lubricant in the inhalation and exhalation process and prevents the lungs from friction. Frictions means ಘರ್ಷಣೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಘರ್ಷಣೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Okay. So this pleura plays an important role in the inhalation and exhalation, preventing the lungs from what? Friction. So each lung is going to be covered with a thin layer tissue. That thin layer tissue is called as what? Pleura. So the right lung is smaller than left lung. Okay. The right lung is smaller than left lung due to the presence of what? Heart. Due to the presence of heart. Okay. So on the left side, it is going to, heart is present on the left side of our lung. Hence, the size of the left lung is smaller when compared to the right lung. Okay. So these are about some important points regarding the lungs. So students, after the lungs, we are going to know about alveoli. So these alveoli are going to play a very important role in the exchange of gases. Okay. Alveoli are very important parts of our respiratory system. They are very minute in size, microscopic in size, and play very important vital role in the exchange of gases in our respiratory organ. So these are air sacs. Air sacs means air filled bags. Okay. These are air sacs at the end of bronchioles. Okay. Previous to this we have seen what are bronchioles. Each bronchiole is having air filled sacs at the end of them. Okay. So you are seeing this is the what? Bronchiole. At the end of each bronchiole, it is having large number of air-filled sacs. These sacs, air-filled sacs are called as what? Alveoli. These are empty inside because they have to what help in the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, so these are the very important what functional and structural units of our lungs. Okay, remember students, alveoli are the structural and functional units of our lungs because they help in the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay, these are air sacs at the end of bronchioles. Then the alveolus, singularly we are going to call it as what? Alveolus, is composed of a very thin membrane. Each alveolus is composed of a very thin membrane and is the place where blood capillaries open. Okay, so are you seeing here? Blood capillaries are going to be surrounding what? Alveoli. Okay, these blood capillaries are going to be opening inside the what? Alveolus. Each cell is called as what? Each sac, air-filled sac is called as what? Alveolus. These alveolus are going to be surrounded by minute, very thin blood capillaries. Okay, these blood capillaries are going to be opening inside the what? Alveolus. So the alveolus is composed of a very thin membrane and is the place where blood capillaries are going to be opening. This is alveolus where the oxygen mixes with the blood. So in the alveolus only, the oxygen which is going to be coming from atmosphere outside our body. So directly when it fills in the alveolus, so this alveolus is having oxygen. This oxygen is going to be mixing with what? Blood. Directly it mixes with blood. And carbon dioxide exists from the blood. Before it is going to be absorbing what? Oxygen, it is filled with carbon dioxide. It absorbs oxygen and expels carbon dioxide to the blood. So, okay. So hence alveolus or alveoli are the sites of exchange of what? Gases. Okay. This alveolus, singularly we are going to call it as alveolus. Plurally we are going to call it as what? Alveoli. This is alveolus where the oxygen mixes with the blood. Remember students, the site of mixing of oxygen with the blood in our respiratory system is alveolus or alveoli. And carbon dioxide exists. That means it is going to be expelled from our blood at this place only. The exchange of gases in alveoli takes place due to the pressure differential. Okay, due to the pressure differential, the exchange of gases is going to be taking place with the process known as diffusion. Through the process of diffusion in alveolus, the exchange of gases is going to be taking place with pressure differential. Okay, when there is a high pressure of oxygen is there in the alveolus, it is going to be expelled to the blood or it is going to be diffused to the blood. And in the blood, if the carbon dioxide content is more, it is going to be diffused inside the alveolus. From alveolus, the carbon dioxide is going outside our body through our nostrils. Okay, so like this, the exchange of gases in alveoli takes due to the pressure differential. Remember students, this is very important. Pressure differential, due to the pressure differential only the exchange of gases is going to be taking place in alveoli. Then we are going to know about the last organ of our respiratory system is diaphragm. So this is a muscular layer which separates our abdomen from thorax. Okay, thoracic cavity and abdomen is going to be separated by a muscular layer. That layer is called as what? Diaphragm. So the diaphragm is the most efficient muscle of breathing. This is the efficient muscle of breathing. It is a large dome-shaped muscle located at the base of lungs. So it is presented at the base of lungs. Separates the thorax from the abdomen. Thorax means the chest part and abdomen means the stomach part. Those together are going to be separated by a muscular layer. That muscular layer is called as what? Diaphragm. What is the shape of diaphragm? It is dome shaped. It is dome shaped. Dome shaped muscles located at the base of the lungs separates the thorax from abdomen in the mammals. Abdominal muscles help move the diaphragm. The muscles which are going to be present in our abdomen helps in the moving the diaphragm upwards and lowerwards. With the contraction of and relaxation of diaphragm, the lungs also expand and contract. Due to the relaxation and contraction of abdominal muscles and diaphragm, our lungs are also going to be making the process of contraction and expansion. So diaphragm plays a very important role in the inhalation and exhalation process. Remember students, inhalation means taking the air inside. When we take the air inside, the size of our lungs is going to be increasing. When we expel the air outside, the size of our chest is going to be decreasing, or size of the lungs is going to be decreasing. So that process is called as what? Exhalation. Inhalation means taking air inside. Exhalation means expelling the carbon dioxide outside. So this diaphragm plays very important role in the inhalation and exhalation of gases. So these are the lungs. So this is called as what? Diaphragm. It is completely made up of what? Muscles, contractile muscles. So this layer separates the thoracic part with the abdomen part. Below this what? Our abdomen part is present. Below, above, up, this is what? This part is called as what? Thorax part. Thorax means chest part. So what is diaphragm? If they ask what is diaphragm, what is its function, means diaphragm is a dome shaped muscular layer which separates thorax from abdomen. So it plays a very vital role in the breathing process of inhalation and exhalation. Okay, so this is about what? Diaphragm. Next, we are going to know about the passage of gases in our respiratory tract. So how the gases are going to be passed from one part to other part in our respiratory tract. First, the air enters inside the nostrils. After nostrils, it is going to be going to the nasal passage. From the nasal passage, the air enters to the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity. In the nasal cavity, it is going to be warmed and it is going to be moistured and filtered. Okay. So after nasal cavity, the air inside pharynx. After pharynx, the air enters into larynx. From larynx, it enters into trachea. Okay, trachea is a windpipe. From trachea, it enters to bronchi. From bronchi, it enters to lungs. From lungs, it enters to bronchioles. From bronchioles, it enters to alveoli. So alveoli is the last part. Okay. From reverse, we can also make it reverse when expelling carbon dioxide outside. So this is the passage of gases, usually oxygen. So this is the passage of oxygen in our respiratory tract. First part is nostrils. Nostrils will absorb oxygen from the atmosphere. When the nostrils absorb oxygen from the atmosphere, it enters into the nasal passage. From nasal passage, it enters to nasal cavity. From nasal cavity, the filtered air, moistured air and warm air enters to pharynx. From pharynx, it enters to larynx. From larynx, it enters to trachea. From trachea, it enters to bronchi. From bronchi, it enters to lungs. From lungs, it is going to be bifurcated into different branches known as bronchioles. From bronchioles, it enters to air, small air sacs. Those are called as what? Alveoli. Each lung is having millions of alveoli. Millions of alveoli. These alveoli will increase the surface area of the lungs. Okay. So like this, the gases are going to be passed from one organ to another organ in our respiratory tract. So when we expelling carbon dioxide, it is going to be reversed. First, carbon dioxide is present in the alveoli. From alveoli to it enters to bronchioles. From bronchioles it enters to lungs. From lungs it enters to bronchi. From bronchi it enters to trachea. From trachea it enters to larynx. From larynx it enters to pharynx. From pharynx it enters to nasal cavity. Here carbon dioxide is not filtered because it is in the only filtered form. Okay. From nasal cavity it enters to nasal passage, and from nasal passage it enters to nostrils. From nostrils it is expelled to the atmosphere. So this is the passage of carbon dioxide. Okay. So this is also very important in the examination. For 2 marks they will ask, write the passage of oxygen or write the passage of carbon dioxide. If they ask the passage of oxygen, you can draw like this. If they ask from carbon dioxide, you can start from here, alveoli. Okay, you can first write alveoli, then bronchioles, then lungs, then bronchi, then trachea, larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, nasal passage and nostrils. Like this we have to write the passage of gases. Okay, if they asked passage of gases in respiratory tract, means you can show the both the direction. One is like this and another one is in the reverse direction. Okay. So this is about the passage of gases in our respiratory tract. So next we are going to know important of mechanism of breathing. Okay, this is the important part of respiratory system or our breathing system, mechanism of breathing. So the breathing mechanism involves two processes. In human beings, the breathing mechanism involves two processes. Those are inhalation. Inhalation means the intake of oxygen from the atmosphere is called as what? Inhalation. Okay, the intake of oxygen from the atmosphere through our nostrils to the lungs or alveoli is called as what? Inhalation. Okay, then another process is there, that is called as exhalation. Exhalation is the process of exhalation or expelling of carbon dioxide from our alveoli to the atmosphere is called as what? Exhalation. So these are the two important processes which are going to be involved in the breathing mechanism of human beings. So inhalation and exhalation. So about these we are going to know lastly. So there are some differences between inhalation and exhalation. I will explain lastly the differences between inhalation and exhalation. Now only you can know about the definitions. So now we are going to study the mechanism of breathing in detail. Okay. So mechanism of breathing involves how many steps, processes? Two. One is inhalation and one is exhalation. Through inhalation and exhalation, what are the changes which are going to be taking place inside our respiratory system? Now we are going to know about that. Okay. First, when we breathe in, that means when we take the air inside our respiratory system, we lift our ribs. Ribs are the bones which are going to be surrounding our chest. Okay. So we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm. When air enters inside our respiratory system or lungs, we lift our ribs because lungs are going to be increased in size. So hence ribs are going to be lifted and flatten our diaphragm. Our diaphragm is pushed downwards. When the lungs are filled with air, the diaphragm is going to be pushed downwards, hence it is going to be flattened. And as a result, the chest cavity becomes larger. When air is filled in both the lungs, the chest cavity becomes larger. Because of this, air is sucked into the lungs and fills the expanded alveoli. Okay. So when air enters inside the lungs, the air fills the expanded alveoli. Hence, the ribs are lifted and the diaphragm is flattened. This process is called as what? Inhalation. Remember students, what are the changes which are going to be taking place inside the inhalation? So now we are going to, this is inspiration or inhalation, both are same, inspiration and inhalation, the diaphragm. So this is the diaphragm. Okay, when we take the what? Air inside, okay, the lungs size is going to be increased. Due to the increase in the lung size, the ribs are lifted and diaphragm is pushed downwards. Remember student, diaphragm is pushed downwards. Okay. So the alveoli is surrounded by thin blood vessels. I have already shown that each alveoli is going to be surrounded by a thin blood vessels called capillaries. These capillaries are carrying what? Blood in them. So the oxygen when enters inside the alveoli, okay, it diffuses out from alveoli walls into the blood. Okay, so the air filled alveoli are going to be diffusing what? Oxygen to the blood vessels or blood capillaries. In blood capillaries, what is going to be flowing? Blood is going to be flowing through the process of what? Diffusion. Remember. So then we are going to know about the alveoli are surrounded by thin blood vessels called capillaries. So are you seeing? These are the alveoli. Okay, these are surrounded by thin blood capillaries. Okay, carrying blood in them. These are carrying blood in them. So the oxygen of air diffuses out from the alveoli walls into the blood. So from the walls of the alveoli, the oxygen is going to be diffusing from alveoli to what? Blood capillaries. Inside the blood capillaries, what is present? Blood. From that blood, it is going to be carried to every cell of our body. Remember students, these capillaries are going to join to make blood vessels. these blood vessels carry this oxygen to every part of our cell, okay, body or cells, okay. So this is about alveoli. The oxygen is carried by blood to all parts of the body. As the blood passes through the tissues of the body, the oxygen present in it diffuses into the cells. So when it reaches to the different tissues, so there the tissues are having cells. From tissues, the blood is going to be from tissues. The oxygen is going to be supplied to every cell through the process of diffusion. Okay, like this, oxygen is going to be transported from blood capillaries from our alveoli to different cells. So when oxygen combines with the digested food present in the cells to release energy. So this oxygen is carried by blood, and at the same time the blood carries digested food to the cells. In the cells, the oxidation of what glucose takes place with the help of oxygen. That is called as what? What type of respiration it is called as? It is called as what? What type of respiration? When the respiration oxidation of what glucose takes with the help of oxygen to release energy, carbon dioxide and water. Aerobic respiration. Okay. The oxygen combines with the digested food present in the cells to release energy in the process of aerobic respiration. Like this, the energy is going to be released. So remember students, the release of energy is not only done by nutrition process, it is also done by respiratory process. Okay. Nutrition process supplies food. Respiratory system provides oxygen. Okay. Both these together releasing energy. Okay. So this is very important. Next, carbon dioxide gas is produced during the aerobic respiration in the mitochondria. When the energy is released, along with the energy, carbon dioxide gas is also released. So carbon dioxide is produced as a waste product during the respiration in the cells of the body tissues. Okay, this carbon dioxide diffuses into the blood. When it is going to be released in the cells, when the amount of carbon dioxide is more in the cells, it diffuses simply into the blood. Okay, they at the same time oxygen enters inside the blood with the process of diffusion. Okay, like this, carbon dioxide released during the process of respiration is going to be enters into the blood through the process of diffusion. Okay, blood carries the carbon dioxide back to the lungs. Through the blood, again it is going to be carried back to the lungs, where it diffuses into the alveoli. So lungs, in the when it reaches to the alveoli, alveoli are surrounded by what? Blood vessels. The carbon dioxide which is present in the blood vessels, which is going to be carried from all the cells, is going to be diffusing back into the alveoli. So when alveoli is filled with carbon dioxide, our diaphragm is pushed upwards. When the diaphragm is pushed upwards, our lungs are contracted. When our lungs are contracted, the alveoli are contracted. When alveoli are contracted, the gas which is filled inside the alveoli is carbon dioxide, that is going to be expelled through bronchioles, bronchi, trachea, then larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, then what? Nostrils and to the atmosphere. So like this, the blood carries carbon dioxide back to the lungs, where it diffuses into the alveoli. When we breathe out air, that means when we expel air, the diaphragm and muscles attached to the ribs relax, due to which our chest cavity contracts. Okay, the diaphragm and muscles which are attached to the ribs relax, due to which our chest cavity is going to be contracted and becomes smaller. Due to the contraction of chest cavity, our lungs are also going to be contracted. This contraction movement of the chest pushes out carbon dioxide from the alveoli of lungs into the trachea, nostrils, then out of the body into the air. Like this, exhalation takes place. So remember students, how systematically this process is going to be taking place. So carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen is, and hence it is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our body. Remember, in which form carbon dioxide is transported? It is transported in the dissolved form in the blood. Okay, so it is soluble in the water also. Okay, this is about what? The complete mechanism of our respiration. So if they ask it for 4 marks, you should write all the points, not like that Puranas. Okay, you should like make points like this and write the mechanism of what? Respiration. So lastly, in this part, we are going to know about differences between inhalation and exhalation. So I have explained already what is inhalation and exhalation. So meaning, first we are going to know about the meaning of inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is the process of intake of air into the lungs. Okay, the process of intake of air or oxygen into the lungs is called as what? Inhalation. Then exhalation is the process of letting air out from our lungs. Okay, air means that is carbon dioxide. Exhalation is the process of letting air out of the lungs. Okay, then type of process, it is inhalation is an active process because it requires oxygen. Okay, inhalation is an active process, exhalation is a passive process. Okay, remember, it is an active process, it is an passive process. The role of diaphragm in the inhalation and exhalation, they contract during the inhalation and get flattened by moving down. Okay, so what is the position of diaphragm in the inhalation? They are pushed downwards and flattened. Okay, they contract during the inhalation and get flattened by moving down. So in exhalation, they relax during the exhalation and turn into dome shaped by moving up. Okay, they relax during the exhalation and turn into dome shaped by moving up. That means the diaphragm is pushed upwards. Okay, the role of intercostal muscles, the intercostal muscles relaxes and external costal muscles contract. Remember, internal intercostal muscles relaxes and external costal muscles contract during the inhalation, and in exhalation internal intercostal muscles contract and external intercostal muscles relax. So this is also one of the important difference between inhalation and exhalation. The volume of lungs increases because air is going to be filled. In inhalation, it increases during inhalation, means it gets inflated. Okay, the volume of lungs is going to be decreasing during the exhalation, means it is get deflated. Inflated and deflated. Inflated means increasing in the size, deflated means decreasing in the size. Okay, the size of chest cavity, the size of chest cavity increases because the lungs are going to be increased in the size. So the size of chest cavity is decreased in exhalation because decrease in the size of what? Lungs. It results air rich oxygen is taken into the blood. As a result of inhalation, air rich oxygen is taken into the blood. As a result of exhalation, carbon dioxide is pushed out from our body because it is a waste product. Some amount of carbon dioxide is retained in our body. So why we are going to, our body is going to be, our lungs is going to be retaining some amount of carbon dioxide. I will explain afterwards. Okay, so carbon dioxide is pushed out from our body. So these are the very important differences between inhalation and exhalation. So this completes the mechanism as well as the structure of our respiratory tract, human respiratory tract. Okay, so the parts which are going to be involved in our respiratory tract. So this is very important process, students. We have studied two processes. Those are, first one is nutrition in animals and plants. Then we have studied about what? Respiration in human beings.